Now, this looks like a real insurrection. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the insurrection, the coup, the chaos happening right now in the Russian Federation. Now, we all know what's going on with the Ukraine war, right? Russia is in Ukraine, and they're fighting Ukraine and NATO. Well, they're fighting Ukrainians on behalf of NATO, in my humble opinion. That's been going on for quite a while. There's a lot of back and forth as it relates to that. There are quite a few Russian troops in Ukraine fighting this war. Now, you have different types of Russian troops in Ukraine. You have the regular Russian military, and you also have some of these mercenaries. A group of mercenaries is called the Wagner Group. It's led by a guy called Prigozhin. Prigozhin and Vladimir Putin have been friends for a very long time, 20 years. Now, Prigozhin does not like what the Russian military is doing as it relates to the way that they're fighting the war in Ukraine. He put out a video earlier in the year, I think it might have been back in May, talking about, hey, you guys not giving us ammunition, and y'all are being jealous, you're being haters. We can take Bakhmut if you just give us our necessary, munitions. That was a problem because it's like, hey, this guy Wagner is trying to undermine the Russian military. So some of the Russian military wanted to get him out of the way back then, but it didn't happen. And I think the Wagner group wound up taking Bakhmut after that. Maybe they got their wishes granted to get ammunition and whatnot. But there's still some issues between Wagner and the Russian defense leaders. Now, the Wagner group is leading a rebellion, as they call it, against the Russian military, and they're currently on their way to Moscow. Now, Vladimir Putin allegedly has left Moscow and has gone to St. Petersburg, as well as some of the oligarchs. They've left Moscow, gone to St. Petersburg. Putin put out a video. I'll link to that in the description. It's in Russian, of course. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and cue that video up just to kind of read what's going on here. And of course, I will link to everything I'm talking about right now in the description. But this is about a 5-minute video, all in Russian. And let's just see some of what's going on right here. And then we get to some video. We'll get to some fighting. We'll get to a little bit of all that. So, latest coup updates, Putin speaks, Prigozhin responds, heavy clashes begin near Moscow. Putin finally made a speech in which he mentioned treason and mutiny twice, talked about Russia fighting hard for its future, labeled the events as an internal mutiny and a stab in the back, mentioned Wagner, and said he is doing anything I can to repel this attack. So, although the beef is not necessarily between Wagner and Putin, and it's more between Wagner and Prigozhin and the Russian defense officials, because I think Prigozhin wants to get the Russian defense minister out. He wants to replace him. But the beef is between him and Putin because Putin is the head of all of it. Wait a minute, you can't just take my defense minister. What are you talking about? We're paying you as mercenaries to go and fight on behalf of us. Your job is not to make military decisions on our behalf. We are an independent nation. You can't come in here and dictate to us what's going to happen. If anything, as mercenaries, you guys are going to do what we tell you to do, and that's how it goes. So let's keep on going here. Wagner's chief and the leader of the group, Prigozhin, replied that Putin made the wrong choice and soon Russia will have a new president. So they might try to not only take out, or I don't want to say take out as far as kill, they may try to replace, quote unquote, by force. They may try to depose the defense minister and Vladimir Putin. That's going to be a tall task because Wagner, they got about 30,000 guys on their side, maybe, perhaps, potentially. But I think the Russian military may have a little bit more than that, and nuclear weapons, and the Russian military or the Russian Federation are the ones who are paying Wagner. How will Wagner be able to sustain themselves if they're not getting money from the Russian Federation? We'll talk about that particular question in a moment. We've had confirmed reports from multiple sources that Wagner's forces and possibly defected members of the Russian military heading to Moscow. We've also finally received reports of the Russian airfare conducting strikes on Wagner forces. We'll show some of that in a minute. A military warplane, the equivalent of U.S. Air Force One, is heading from UFA, known for Russia's nuclear bunkers, to Moscow. A Telegram group run by senior members of Wagner mentioned that the trigger for a civil war was pulled by Putin. Reports are emerging of the Russian National Guard heading to fight or join Wagner and Rostov. Now, Rostov is a city where like a lot of this stuff is happening. It's right by the Ukrainian border, like 60 miles from the Ukrainian border. And the Wagner troops are going from there up to Moscow as I speak, if I'm not mistaken. Local sources claim that a warplane, likely a transport aircraft, was shot down over Varzhne a short while ago. Details unclear and claims are not verified. If true, this is likely Wagner shooting down a Russian warplane. The above information was confirmed by various sources and analyzed by the experts currently speaking live in the ongoing space. So they're talking about a Twitter space. And this, again, this is the video of Vladimir Putin talking about what's going on. But let's get to a video here. This is Rebecca Koffler, former U.S. Defense Intel officer. I think Ms. Koffler is Russian or Ukrainian. Let's hear what she has to say. This is going to be pretty interesting. Then we're going to get to some video of some of the fighting and some of the non-fighting. It's pretty confusing what's happening. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Of an armed insurrection in Russia, which possesses 6,000 nuclear weapons. A lot of them are pointing to the U.S. homeland, and any kind of instability is not good for anyone.
Now, let's pause for a minute. A lot of people in the West, a lot of the people that support Ukraine, people that support NATO, etc., they're saying it's a good thing that they are trying to depose Vladimir Putin. But do you know who this guy is? This is a whole mercenary right here. Is that who you want to be in control of nuclear weapons? You know, you rather would have the quote unquote villain that you know rather than some brand new guy who's going to come in here and just be a brute force person. All right. He took Wagner, not Wagner. He took, the Bakhmut in Ukraine. And now he's trying to take the Russian Federation, allegedly. So where will he go next? This would be the kind of guy that will actually take a Poland or whatnot that people thought that Vladimir Putin would be. Let's continue.
Can Prigozhin realistically pose a threat to Putin? Well, this is a very, very complicated question. Here's why. These two are going back, their relationship 20 years. And part of me is really suspicious about how realistic this insurrection is, right? Or is that possibly a pretext for additional mobilization of forces, for initiating a martial law in Russia, and for additional strike on Ukraine?
Now, that is a thing that I've heard about. This could be a false flag because, remember, and that's where they are, Rostov-on-Don. That's right by the Ukrainian border, about 60 miles from the Ukrainian border. There was an earlier video in which this man right here, Prigozhin, said that, oh, you guys in Russia, the leadership, you guys are envious of us out here in Bakhmut. You're not giving us ammunition. You're not letting us have this victory. And then shortly after, they still took Bakhmut, though. So it wasn't, I don't know. I think that there could be a lot more than meets the eye here.
Rebecca, what do you know about Prigozhin? I mean, we know he's a mercenary, so he's willing to take money from anybody. Is there any possibility at all that the United States has anything to do with this?
That's a very interesting question, Rachel. You're turning into an intelligence officer, actually, in terms of the mindset. You know, it's exactly my second thought after the thought that I just expressed, that this potentially was a staged operation, and in reality, there's no fallout between Prigozhin and Putin. My second thought was that it's possibly we the United States and possibly NATO have made a deal with Prigozhin. Prigozhin, remember, he is a businessman, right? Not only he served food and drink to Putin because he owned a large network of catering business serving the Kremlin, he also operates one of the most effective, one of the most vicious private military groups, the Wagner Group. They have contracts everywhere in the world. His fighters could have realistically come into contact with some of U.S. or NATO forces and made a deal.
That's possible. That most certainly is possible. Okay, we have more. We have most certainly more here. We got some video from the ground out there in Rostov-on-Don. This is out there by the Ukrainian border, as I said originally. Let's check it out here. And of course, I'll link to everything in the description.
Вон вам пулеметчики, здравствуйте. Я хуею, ребята, блядь, это пизда.
So you got these guys, these who appear to be Wagner forces setting up these weapons on the ground, and you have civilians just hanging out, chilling, recording, watching.
Это пизда. Как будто в кино, я хуею.
So I'm not really sure what's going on there. Again, pretty confusing. Let's go to more here. Now, this says helicopters attack oil depot in Russia's Vranje. Now, some of these videos, how can I say, they're real videos, but the timeline and who did it and how they did it and whatnot is kind of up in the air because this is all breaking news as of right now when I'm recording this video. Right around 12 noon, Saturday, June 24, 2023.
Это пипец. Летит очень низко. Только что был взрыв. Мама! Мама! Мне страшно! Мама! Пиздец, мама! Мамочки!
So that's happening. All right. That was an oil depot attack. And here's more. We got some troop movement here. So I'm not sure where they're going or what's happening here, but there's quite a few troops. Again, Wagner allegedly has 25 to 30,000 troops. We got tanks in the street and civilians right next to the tanks. People just kind of hanging out, walking around like it's not really. Somebody got flowers and whatnot. I mean, I don't really know what's happening. This is a weird thing. People just walking around living normal life, and you have troops in the streets. There's not a sense of urgency or panic or fear or anything like that. And that's something else. The march of Wagner to Moscow has pretty much gone unimpeded. They're not really being, it's not a whole lot of action against them from what I've seen. They're pretty much just allowed to go straight to where they want to go. There were some roadblocks of abandoned vehicles allegedly, but that's not really, I mean, I'm not seeing any kind of strikes on these people. There may be some, but I'm not seeing a really big resistance, because imagine if there was a true coup going to DC with tanks and weapons and everything else. You think there would be a little bit more resistance, right? But so yeah, that's pretty much what's going on there. Is there more here? Let's see. This is incredible video showing flares from a Ka-52 helicopter deflect a Wagner anti-aircraft missile. Let's check this out. Check it out right there, center of the screen.
Это 28-й все-таки? Смотри, полетела. Пошла,
boom, watch this.
А он еще и ловушка.
So it happened so fast. The missile just went right past it and got deflected. Now, here is one more video for you guys. Locals in Rostov have begun bringing food and drink for Wagner fighters. She said food is not open. Another guy bringing bottled water. And the question is, why do we give water? It's a humane thing. They look tired. They obviously want food. We just have kind people like that. I'm not the only one giving water. Others have brought Perovsky, apples, crisps. A shop over there is empty. It has nothing. Everything was given to the boys. Some are refusing, others are taking. It's an act of kindness. All right. Spasibo. I guess that's thank you for your interview, I suppose. That's that. I mean, there's more. I'll link to everything in the description. If you're on IG, link in the bio. But that's all I have right now. It's a pretty weird thing. Is there a coup going on, or is it a photo op, or is it some kind of weird deal? Is it not really? Is it being overblown by the West? I don't know what's happening. Putin gave a speech, and in the speech, he did not appear to be taking it very lightly. He said this is treason. This is a coup. You guys who are involved will be arrested, possibly killed. That's what I heard from his speech. But his speech and the tone of it doesn't really match what I'm seeing out there on the ground. It's just kind of strange. I even saw one video of a tank out there, and then there was a guy sweeping the ground up for litter. But as I close, I want to say this. This is a very interesting turn of events. I can't say I saw this coming. Some said that they saw it coming for a while because of the previous video from the Wagner group and the leader. But I didn't see it coming. I mean, maybe I'm out of the loop. We'll see how this whole thing plays out over the next few days and weeks. Ukraine and the West, they're going to take advantage of it. They're going to say it's a good thing. But if Vladimir Putin was be overtaken by Wagner group and their leader, Prigozhin, is that going to be a good thing? Again, you might want to deal with the enemy that you know rather than the enemy that you don't know, because the unknown can be the most dangerous. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here in Russia? Do you think it's a civil war? Do you think there's some kind of military coup going on? Is there a mercenary coup happening? What do you think is really going on out there in Russia? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys may or may not know where I'm at. I'm kind of confused personally. I think it could go either way. I think there could be a coup happening, and because Wagner wants to basically become the Russian military, I suppose. Maybe they don't like the defense minister and what he's doing. Maybe they don't like what Vladimir Putin is doing. I can't help but think there are some outside forces who have some skin in the game. Of course, if you are a Ukraine ally or a NATO ally or just anti-Russia, it'd make all the sense in the world for you to invest into anything that could undermine the Russian Federation, including their own military, including their own mercenary forces that they pay to go out around the world and create chaos or to depose people or whatever they get paid to do. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.